Hello there and welcome back to the channel, back into one of my favourite areas of science fiction, Star Trek, specifically the Mirror Universe, and this time we're looking at an Imperial Starfleet officer, one of the highest, one of the most decorated with medals of valor, medals of 100 kills, medals for surviving a mortal wound, which are all pretty much what they sound like, defeating 100 enemies of the Terran Empire, dirty Xenos scum, valor, pretty self-explanatory, and surviving a mortal wound, a medal that actually Captain Kirk would be awarded twice, beating this guy out by one. Of course, we are talking about Captain Maddox, the commanding officer of the ISS Charon in the 2250s, the flagship of the Imperial Terran Empire and personal pleasure palace of Empress Philippa Georgiou. Before we get started, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and also check out all of my socials and other things that are all linked in the description below. With that out of the way, let's get into this episode. Maddox, whose first name was unknown, only known as Captain Maddox, the commanding officer of the ISS Charon. He was the brother of Ava. Ava, we can assume Ava Maddox, let's assume Captain Maddox is his surname, was romantically involved in some way with Gabriel Lorca, who started a revolt against Empress Georgiou. For her troubles, she was killed in that rebellion. It is entirely possible that Lorca did not mean for her to be killed, that her death was simply a tragic accident, but he would state that she loved him. He would literally beat this into Lorca, that she loved him and he needs to beg for forgiveness. He blamed Lorca for her death. Quite rightly so. Lorca was a bit of a dick. Now, in some ways Lorca was actually a very loyal Terran, and in other ways he was a disloyal one. He seems to be very loyal to his subordinates, so I do question whether or not he really intended for Ava to die, but his romantic attachment to her only extended as far as her usefulness, and he replaced her like that with, of course, Michael Burnham, who was a much more useful individual to Lorca. This made Ava dispensable, but to her brother, she was not. And Maddox, in a remarkably human, less Terran affiliation, decided to avenge his sister when Lorca fell into the palms of his hands and became a prisoner aboard the ISS Charon, shoved into one of the ship's agony booths, where he remained for many torturous hours. Maddox would eventually decide to pay him a visit, pull him out of the chamber, and begin to give him a physical beating, telling him to say her name and beg for forgiveness for what he did to her, as he blamed her for her death. Unfortunately, this would be pretty much the last act Maddox would ever perform in the name of either the Terran Empire or his family's honour, as he would be killed in 2257 by the rebels who were loyal to Lorca. At that moment, failing to avenge his sister's death and put down a rebellion at once, which probably would have got him some more medals, let's face it. And there we have Captain Maddox. Now we can assume that he did many impressive things other than gain all those medals, because they were all very good, but a lot of them were what Burnham also had. But to be given command of the Empress's personal flagship and the flagship of Starfleet, this basically made him the equivalent in his time period as Captain Kirk, or other such legendary officers such as Captain Maximilian Forrest, commanders of previous and future flagships of the Imperial Terran Empire. So, let me know, comments below, short video, I know. What do you think of this guy? There wasn't much of him. I think he had a pretty decent screen presence, and for a Terran, he displayed some remarkably human failings. He loved his sister, clearly, and his sister, also with her human failings, loved Lorca. And for better or worse, that got her killed. And, unfortunately, it also would lead to Maddox himself also being killed aboard his own ship by the same man who he deemed responsible for her death. So, discuss in the comments how sucky that is. And like, share, subscribe. And if you made it all the way to the end of this, admittedly very short video, thank you for watching, and bye bye.